name is Sam Forgan, PJ number 01600260. Today I'm going to be doing an explanation demonstration for a chip shot. So a chip shot can be used anywhere from 1 to 25 yards off the green. Can be used by pretty much any club in the bag, which is obviously going to produce a variety of different lofts. Depending on the scenario you have on the golf course, you may have. I mean, the scenario we're using today, there's very little in front of us in terms of hazards. Nice clear flag. On the golf course, you may not have that option. Obviously, you maybe have to chip over a bunker or some water or some thicker rough that you're going to have to carry at some point. So you're going to have a variety of shots that you have to use. Today, I'm going to be using a chip shot with my 58-degree wedge and a 9-iron. So as I use my 58-degree wedge, I'm looking for around a 75% carry to 25% rollout ratio. As I use the 9-iron, it's going to be around 50-50. If I was to go down to a 7-iron or a 6-iron, you'd be looking at about 25% carry for a 75% rollout. So, and obviously, once you get onto the golf course and you have those different shots, that's when club selection becomes really, really important. So anyway, to hit an effective chip shot, one of the things that we really have to focus on is the aim. So this chip shot today, we're pretty flat towards the flag there. So we want our purposes today, our aim is to be pretty much bang on the flag. So my club face wants to be on that angle there, pretty much perfectly to the flag. If you're on the golf course and you have some undulations or some slopes that you have to account for, you may not be able to aim straight at the flag. But anyway, for today, we're going to be going straight at that flag. But if our club face aim, starts to point in away from the target, so if this being square, starts to point to the right, you'll see not only will our start line start to be too far to the right, what it also does is it increases the dynamic loft. You see how that stick starts to point higher in the air there. That's because of an increase in dynamic loft as our club face starts to point to the right. So if I was to do the opposite of that, so if this being square, start to point the club face left, you'll see how the club face not only the start line goes left, but the dynamic loft on the club starts to decrease. So we're increasing our dynamic loft as the club face shuts. Also, as the club face starts to twist or it starts to point away from our intended target line, it makes extentness of strike very, very difficult. Obviously, the club face is not travelling flush to the target line, it makes it very difficult for us to then find the middle of the club. So, aim is very, very important. Second thing I want to talk to you about is the hold of the golf club. So, ideally we want a nice neutral hold, that being the left thumb nicely down the grip there, slightly right of centre with the thumb there, and with about 1 to 2 knuckles on show as I look down through my left eye there. And what we're trying to do with the right hand, we're just trying to cover that nicely over so we can't see any of that left thumb. We're trying to make the crease between the thumb and the sort of edge of my palm or back of my hand there. That crease that I'm creating here wants to be towards this right shoulder. So you can see there, no sign of the left thumb. It's nicely covered over there with a neutral hold. So, if we're starting to get into what we don't want to do with the grip, so a stronger grip would be, kind of three to 4 knuckles on the left hand there, we've seen through the left eye, which is too strong, and the left thumb starting to drift way over onto the very right edge of the grip there, and then also going to see an open right hand there with a lot of that thumbs on show. So what that does there, that really starts to shut our club face, which as we mentioned, decreases our dynamic loft. It also encourages a bit of hinge in the wrist there, which can greatly increase our speed through the shot, which makes our chip shot very hard to then judge if we're getting that increase in speed. So, strong grip is something we really want to try and avoid. So conversely, a weak grip is one that starts to be open like this. The left thumb going towards the left side of the grip there, no knuckles on show. And then a strong right hand grip would be this right hand all the way over. I almost get some knuckles on show with the right hand, which is not what we want. What that obviously does is it starts to do the opposite of a strong grip. The club head starts to get open, dynamic loft inversely increases, and then also gets us going, adding some loft to the club, which, like I said, makes it very difficult for us to start to judge the distance. So, next thing I want to talk to you about is the stance that we want to take. So, ideally with a chip shot, we want a nice sort of inside shoulder width kind of stance, like here. We start to go real wide, like we were hitting a driver or a full shot. Start to use the leg starts to become used as a bit of power source, which chipping is more about finesse. It's not really about that speed or that aggression through the ball. We are trying to just a nice narrow stance there, not so much weight transfer. It's going to give us some control. So, next thing we want to do. I'd say about 70% of the weight wants to be on this front foot here. What that does is, like I said, takes away some of that movement or a shift of the weight to the right hand side, which you see in a full swing. Get that weight planted on that left side. Also starts to get our angle of attack a little bit more down onto the ball. If I was to exaggerate, if I was to go put my weight on the right hand side, what that does is really shallows our angle of attack. Makes it very difficult for us to get the club underneath the ball with a decent strike. So, weight nicely forward like so, gets us getting nicely down onto the ball rather than back. No pressure on the golf ball from there. So that's ideally what we want to see from the start. So, really want to talk to you next about the ball position. So, we want to see a nice ball position in the middle of the stance if we can. So once we've got our nice narrow stance, we want to be somewhere nicely in the middle there. Whereas if we start to get too far back here, that's quite exaggerated, you'll see that really starts to take some dynamic loft off the club face there. Really, and it's starting to, what's that going to do is going to really steepen our angle of attack also. We're going to get very inconsistent flight, it's going to be very low, and it's not going to be the desired flight that we're after. So, if I was to do the opposite of that, move us way forward, that's going to really shallow, like I mentioned, shallow that angle of attack out. What that's going to do is going to make it from here very, very hard for us to find the middle of the club head. The club is almost travelling up, going to hit a lot of thin, low shots and a very poor strike. So, might get the occasional one where we go nice and high, but like I said, that's not really what we're after. We're after control, consistency in the strike as well. Right, so next thing I'm going to talk about the body alignment. So, really want to see a nice parallel target line with using all of our alignment. So basically our feet, our knees, our hips, our shoulders, all want to be nice with this parallel target line towards the clubs. We start to get a little bit of ride there, so if we start to get a bit open here, the club starts to travel out this way. Really start to see swing paths start to travel from out to in, which is going to actually start to do something fun with the club head, leave it open. It can create some left to right spin on a chip shot, which is obviously not our desired outcome. Similarly, if I start to aim right, the inverse starts to happen. The club starts to go real into out, and therefore you either have to do something really funky with the club head to start to get that go towards the target, or the ball just simply goes right over target. So, nice parallel target lines there. Gives us a nice in-to-in swing path, which should get some nice neutral shots rolling towards the flag, which, like I said, is going to give us a lot of control and a lot of close chip shots. So, without further ado, I'm just going to demonstrate what I've been talking about all this time. So, the chip shot we just want to see, like I mentioned, we've got our stance nice and narrow, ball positions in the centre, target line, I'm nice and parallel to my target line with all of my feet, my knees, my hips and my shoulders. So what I want to use nice, neutral, without only one lever in this. We don't want to add a second lever with our wrist here. Nice. One lever, bit of rotation with the body, no wrist hitch really. Like I said, this is my Sam wedge, so this one should be looking to carry around 75% of the way there and roll the further 25%. Something like that. So if we contrast that with my 9 iron here, see the carry distance will be nowhere near as much.